my name is Todd Dickinson. My name is Todd Dickinson. For those of you that don't know me, this is Project TBA. So this project was made by myself and a friend of mine, Justin Cooper. He's been working for an augmented reality company and works with clients on multi-million-dollar projects. He's been doing some engineering, design, and art for me, and I've been working on engineering and design for this project. So what is Project TBA? It's sort of like a Souls-like game with like difficult, challenging combat. The goal is like you fight interesting monsters and you can acquire new abilities. And I'm going to show a short demo. Real quick. So as you see here, there's a couple of different enemies. AI is not yet implemented. But what you do is you can defeat the enemies and acquire their powers. Which you can then use to shapeshift your own body into new forms. So that's the gist of our proof of concept demo. So our 15-week development plan, if we were to get into studios, is to kind of flesh out the combat system, create a fun, fluid experience. We'd want to create like visually interesting character art for the player and one or two enemies. We really want to work on animations to have like that nice flowing combat instead of our kind of jank animations we got online. And we want to work on developing challenging combat AI and create a couple of different scenarios for the player to experience. And to kind of accomplish that goal, we'd be looking for 1 to 2 character artists to create like a nice high quality assets. We have a workflow to make them work with our system that they'd have to follow. 1 animator for various combat animations for humanoid and creatures, depending on what we decide to go with for enemies, and an AI designer with experience and behavior trees would be great. And that's it. Thank you.
All right, next is Abduli with his game Siphoners, and then following him will be Jordan Brown.
Excuse me. Where is that freeze? Yeah. How's everyone doing so far today?
Super duper.
Super duper. I had a joke for if someone said good, but you ruined the
Good.
joke, so.
I'm good.
No, it's too late. Okay. Hopefully. Slideshow. Okay. Where is it? You find it and then you lose it 2 seconds later.
It's that thing. It's not the
yeah.
screen. There you
All right. Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name's Abdulai, and I'm the intended project lead of this game, Siphoners. And I'm supposed to be doing this with Darren Palermo, but he couldn't be here today, so I'll just tell you everything that he did. And he did put significant work into this. So, this system, well, this game is going to be built on a entirely new handheld system that me and a few others have been working on, and this is the prototype over here. it takes light from a UV sensor. So the main mechanic is revolved around the UV sensor, and it's attached to the handheld, which will then pull in sunlight and do things with it in-game. So usually in-game there are a lot of like enemies that are really susceptible to light and other things like a horror, a white, and vampires. Like everybody knows, vampires in the sun. It's gonna wilt away and die. So that's basically what we're putting it around. You are a hunter, so to speak, that's going around eradicating these enemies with the power of the sun in your weapons. And when you run out of that energy, use your survival skills and stealth to get around and make sure that the corruption of the night doesn't get you. The art style of this is supposed to be 3D gothic, kind of, not super realistic, but kind of like more like that right image, kind of oddly friendly on one side, but actually pretty gritty and dark. Okay, so back to the main mechanic and a little explanation of it. It's on a Tinkerboard, and it has an ARM chip sensor. So actually, when developing it, it's going to be for Android. So if you ever want a wide experience for people that might want to be on this game, this might be the first and only time that there's ever a game studios project that's this unique and is working with not only developing a game, but also developing the hardware, the firmware in between, and also a new art style and a new environment for you to try and work with people that aren't game, because I'm also looking for people outside of that to help me with the schematics for this. And it's just the progress and mostly the programming, because both me and Darren are programmers. Okay, so our plan for the first semester would be to first make a base of operations where the character usually is and goes back to given some of their spoils and make weapons that'll be charged and go into classes and stuff like that. So base of operations, we want that done for the first semester. Finish at least one hostile area where there are roaming enemies, and for those roaming enemies we'll need at least 2 kinds just to test out different like elements and weaknesses for monsters. At least 2 usable sunlight weapons, because every weapon in the game can be charged. Well, mostly every weapon. You can charge your silver sword so it can be a little bit more effective to werewolves or
1 minute.
anything else. The second semester to include geolocation so that the weather also affects the resource that you're getting in game. Okay. So we'd mostly need 3 artists, 3 programmers, excluding Darren, and 2 designers, including Darren, and 1 wildcard, because we could take anyone from anywhere and we could use them for a lot of things. So yeah, thanks for listening.
Alright, up next is Jordan Brown with his working title game, and then following him will be Christian.
Alright, my name is Jordan Brown. I'm a game programmer, and the project that I want to run is called Dungeoneer. So essentially, Dungeoneer is a roguelike game with, rather the focus being, instead of being a rogue playing against a randomly generated dungeon, randomly generated enemies and loot and things like that, you are actually playing against another player who's controlling, building the dungeon, placing enemies, and actually trying to stop you from escaping. So primarily I was inspired by Enter the Gungeon. I was playing it and I was thinking, this is a lot of fun, but what if somebody else was actually building the dungeon instead? That could be a lot more fun. You could get competitive with it. You could actually play against your friends and things like that. So if you were to look at these 2 screenshots, it would essentially be like the player on the left is the rogue trying to get through the dungeon. The player on the right is actually building the map, editing it in real time, and trying to screw the other player over and stop them from escaping. So a few more details about this. So for the rogue, the goal is actually to just find the exit and escape, just like you would in a normal roguelike. You're going to explore and map out the dungeon, find loot to try to help you survive and kill enemies, while the other player, the Dungeon Master, is trying to kill you as much as possible. They have currency so that they can place things like different rooms, move the rooms around, build different rooms, place enemies in those rooms, place things like obstacles, like puzzles, locks, things like that. But they can also do things like placing loot and better items for the other player as sort of a risk-reward system so they can get extra currency. So it's built to be sort of this asymmetrical balance of power, so both players have to take risks in order to win their side. So my plan for this generally is the main things I need to focus on are multiplayer functionality right away, dungeon building mechanics, and roguelike mechanics. So multiplayer is going to be the most important because otherwise it's just going to be a boring roguelike. Everyone's played roguelikes before. If it's not unique, I don't want to make it. So this needs to be focused on multiplayer first of all, and then of course the dungeon building mechanics are also going to be extremely important because that's also what makes this different from any other general roguelike. I've built a roguelike before. This was the project that I made for the Greenlight Jam last year in 48 hours, so I can build a roguelike no problem. It's the other stuff that's going to be a lot more important to the plan. So I want to build this in Unity 2D, primarily for the PC. Moving to other platforms is an eventual goal, but the problem is getting over the problems with controls and things like that. So I just want to focus more on PC and get an actual solid build before I just do anything else. I need like a smaller team. It's going to be a 2D game, so I don't really need a lot of people on the team. Probably 2 to 3 artists. The team is most likely going to be doing pixel art for this project, just because that's a style I prefer. But I'm not married to that idea. If anyone has a style that they prefer, you're always welcome to tell me. As well, 2 to 4 designers. There's a lot of design work to be done on this project and a ton of balance work. With an asymmetrical multiplayer, you're going to need a ton of work balancing both sides and making sure that they're both viable and fun, and not just one side always wins. So 2 to 4 designers, and then as well 1 to 2 programmers. I'm a programmer myself, so I only need 1 or 2 more programmers, if any, to get this project done. I should be able to get most of the mechanics. So if anyone wants to learn about multiplayer, wants to learn Unity 2D, wants to work on this project, you're always welcome. And then, of course, there's going to be a ton of testing and balancing, so that's a big part of the process for this game. So my general sprint outline for if I get into the semester is the first sprint is going to be mostly focusing on refining the entire game, getting everything down to a solid core so I know what I want to make throughout the entire semester, and then building multiplayer connectivity because that is our core mechanic, essentially, is having the multiplayer. So once we have multiplayer built, we can set up the roguelike mechanics, set up enemy AI, set up weapons and things like that. And then during the third sprint, you can actually build the Dungeon Master mechanics, make sure both players can play against each other. They actually both have their own gameplay side, and make that map editor that happens in real time. And then we have Sprint 4 is basically coming after the most difficult part of it during the Dungeon Master mechanics. So that's basically a sprint where I can use it for catch-up, as well as tons of balancing and playtesting to make sure that both sides work and are fun. And of course, Sprint 5 is polish. Sprint 4 and 5 are obviously not as heavy-looking as 1 through 3. I figure nothing ever goes along with plan. So 4 and 5 are basically the catch-up time if I need that. That's it. Thank you.
All right, Christian is next, and following him will be Christopher with Homestead.
All right, give me just a second here. Alrighty. Hello, I'm Christian VC, and this game, last Game Jam, Global Game Jam, we were asked a question, what is home? And my team said that home was family, so we came up with the game Companion, which is a game where you are traveling with your family across a very dangerous land that we just simply did not have enough time to fully complete. So we made a concept demo, and which we're going to show you in a bit, but this is what you can expect from the game. It's a brutal journey, where you have to make tough choices whether that will either help or hinder yourselves and other people you meet. And it'll also have a relationship system that will affect sort of how well the family functions as a unit. Let's meet this group. So you have the father, and this is who, for the majority of the gameplay, you'll be controlling in a sense. He makes decisions. He helps with everything. He does all the muscle work. The mother is really good at caring for people and making sure they're all feeling well. The son is the second most playable character in the sense of if the father does die or has something happen to him, then picks up as the son as the main character. The daughter is a very peaceful character, and then a dog, because dogs are wonderful and they're always appreciated. And then our core mechanic to pitch is the food, medicine, and sanity system and how they interlap with each other. So the sanity system is a common trope in survival games lately, but this one plays off the food and medicine systems a little bit better than others because the character's sanity will actually affect, like, if they're hungry and there's little food left, their sanity will actually degrade faster. So it has little things that actually play off everything else. So can you survive together, or will you fall on the path? Let's check out the build. I had a little video made. So as you can see here, at the beginning of the build, all the buttons work. You start by clicking go, and you have to feed and give your family medicine. When you stop, you notice the sanity regenerates. That's the only way to regenerate sanity. So you have to decide whether or not you wish to push forward or take that precious time and resources to make sure everyone isn't falling apart. Another thing is we have implemented the base for a trade system, which actually does work. And this will let you be able to give up certain resources for either more or less of other resources, depending on if the trader is a good trader or if they have needs or whatever else. We're working on a dynamic trading system as well. As you can see here in a second, we watch here the daughter right now is running low on food, and in a moment we actually have death implemented, which you can continue after death. Yes, even the dog can die, unfortunately. However, when the dog dies, you do get a little bit of food, so I guess there's a perk.
You should have done that.
But anyway, our goals for the next semester is we have already started putting the game into Unreal because, unfortunately, this being a Game Jam game, the code was built to be expendable. So I'm working with a programmer. Unfortunately, she fell ill with the flu, so she couldn't get the full Unreal build done. But we're working on putting in there, as well as adding free movement sections, a hunting section, trying to get the basis for the rest of the relationship built, as well as just simply improving all aspects of the gameplay. So without any further, thank you for listening.
All right, Christopher's next with Homestead, followed by Justin with Project Techno.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christopher Munguia, and I'm going to be telling you about my game called Homestead. So what is Homestead? The genre for it currently is just an adventure game, because I don't really know what to categorize it as, because there's a lot of things that kind of go into it. The basic story of it is that you play as a settler exploring a new frontier. The goal of the game, or the aim of it, is to create a relaxing and fun adventure game for all players to build settlements, meet interesting creatures, and discover hidden secrets that are in the world. So here's some concept art that I had Brenda Nahara, the artist that worked on this project. She also helped me design it. She created some character concepts and some building concepts and area concepts that might be in the game, or that will be in the game. The art style that we're trying to aim for is painterly art style, which is hand-painted toon with low poly assets, which aren't stylized low poly, but low poly. So here is our proof of concept currently that we have put together. You're able to collect resources in the world, such as wood and food, like berries, and move around. And this is what we call base camp right now. So it's not really a lot, but it kind of gives you the idea of what the world might look like, fleshed out later on. So the features that are going to be in the game are going to be exploration as our main thing. So you're going to be able to explore this world that is generated with tiles that are predetermined by designers. Also going to be building crafting system to build settlements and farms and tools and stuff like that. The items that are going to be able to be collected, like in caves and resources, farming, like I mentioned before, trading systems with other settlers, and then social interaction with the settlers. Our inspirations for these games, or for this game, come from Minecraft, Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley, Slime Rancher, and Fallout 4, but they're not the large features that those games have. They're more bite-sized versions of it to, keep our scope more controlled. So the milestone breakdown, the plan that I would like to follow is have major milestones that we would like to reach, and then have them broken down into large, medium, and small ones that can be accomplished in like days, weeks, and then months, leading up to major milestones being completed. What I would need for this would be programmers, designers, and artists. For the artists, I would mainly need environment artists, concept artists, and character artists. Anyone that's familiar with Photoshop and making hand-painted textures. Designers, level designers, and just general programmers, same thing. Because I want to since I'm a programmer, I want to have the ability to help other programmers kind of learn what I know and what I've learned from other programmers that have taught me. Yeah, so that's Homestead. Yeah, thank you. We have the playable demo. I have the playable demo set outside, so you guys can go and mess around with it a little bit. Yeah, so thank you.
All right, up next is Justin with Project Techno, and then following is Attack on Formica 3 in VR.
Hello, everyone. My name is Justin Griffin McClinton. I am the project lead of Project Techno. So what is Project Techno, you might ask? Project Techno is a rhythm racing game, but it tackles on another mechanic that is unheard of in the aspect of this genre. In this current game, we focus on the aspect of adding echolocation, because both the drivers and the DJs are blind, and they use echolocation to navigate the level. So, before I go any further into this project, I'd like to thank all the people that helped me along the way. I am not programming savvy, so I'd like to thank the people that helped me. Nathaniel White, who's an ACS student, Dakota, game design student, Todd Dickinson, who presented already, game programming, and Spencer, who helped me with later level. So what have we done so far? Currently, last time we did this, we went through an iteration of a top-down version of echolocation where the player radiates a pulsing wave, and it shows off what it's like for the environment, although the environment is invisible. So seeing in the second picture, we have walls that are located on either cat-cornered northwest and southeast. Now, that wasn't a good decision. Any racing game, for it to work, would want to change the camera direction. So we fixed that problem. But there was also a main mechanic missing of the DJ implementation. So the next semester we wanted to work on creating a new track, player and vehicle customization, audio tracks to pair with the levels, according to the DJ, multiplayer functionality, and controller compatibility. So what happened this semester? Over the course of this, we worked on a new level for a drag racing scene, where the level is lit up by neon lights when the echolocation pings off of it. What we have for programming, because we fixed the radiation wave, thanks to Todd, he fixed the amplification wave on the echolocation. Instead of having a janky system, it now portrays a system where we can clearly define what's being blocked by the echolocation and where the player can visibly go. So along with that, we're currently working for the DJ. Because it's a co-op game, we do want a functionality where the DJ is currently guiding the beat. So we have a little UI system on their side of the screen, showing off the beat patterns so they can amplify a bigger pulse wave. That way the driver can navigate safely. That way both of you guys can get to the finish line in a timely manner. So what are we looking for in this next current semester? We're going for 3 to 4 programmers, someone who work with algorithms, beat pattern sequencing, co-op functionality. For the artists, we're looking for both 2D and 3D artists for props, emissive texturing, and character portraits. 1 or 2 game designers who can work with level design, because we do want to work on another scene, following a new shade of echolocation, and an audio engineering for music. But as we go on, we will continue this project, and thank you for your time. To see our current updates, you can follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you.
All right, we got our last project now with Attack on Formica 3 with Austin.
Where is my presentation? That's not it. That looks like it. Good morning, everybody. My name is Austin Harrington. I'm the former studio director for Monster Vault Entertainment. I have greenlit 5 times successfully over 2 projects. I've actually developed 5 projects with studio teams. They were all VR, and I am, I guess, pretty easy to. How do I want to put it? Sorry, I'm tired. I guess I'm predictable.
Yes.
Thank you. So, another VR game. What is Attack on Formica 3? Well, this is a interactive cinematic experience. We aren't trying to make something that's really replayable. We're trying to make something that is immersive. A 5 to 10 minute experience that is well polished. And so, as you can see, we did use art assets from the Unreal Marketplace. We did not have artists. We developed this prototype at a 5-day game jam this week. So it was fairly quick. But we wanted to nail the look of this game. We wanted to show the feel we were going for because our environment is one of our pillars. We want this to be super immersive. So as you can see, this is a shooter. Quickly, by show of hands, who has seen Starship Troopers, the film from the late 90s? Very good, okay, a lot of us. So we wanted to nail that experience. We wanted players to feel like they were in that scene in the outpost fighting off thousands of bugs. Clearly, we don't have 1,000 bugs in this environment. We're going to have to build a new enemy that's a little bit lower poly so that we can deal with our frame rate. But we wanted to show off what we were looking to do. So, in terms of mechanics, right now, we've got a gun. It shoots. It's got particle effects. It looks awesome. You can carry 2 guns. You can use the gun 1 or 2-handed. We will have reloading in the game. It's not currently in the prototype. This is actually a wave shooter right now. We wanted to show off core gameplay. We wanted to show that we can make the combat and the wave shooter, and we wanted to do it in a really fun way. But this game is not just about being a wave shooter. This is about living in a film. So, I think we've got a pretty good idea. Humanity is under attack. Donald. Fun joke. So as I said, this is a single-player narrative VR experience. We have 3 pillars. We want exhilarating, visceral gunplay. We want terrifying, overwhelming enemies, and we want an immersive setting and story. We are developing an Unreal Engine 4. We haven't had an Unreal game in a little while, so I think that we're a little bit underrepresented in that engine in production studio. Currently, we are looking at development for the Oculus Rift and HTC Vive, and possibly PSVR. We've got PlayStation development kits, right? We haven't used them. It seems like a really great opportunity to try and do a VR game on PSVR. Frankly, Sony also owns the license for games for Starship Troopers, so if we wanted to pitch to them, PSVR looks good. So, why we're different? Why this game in particular is a really great fit for studio? First, and this is ambitious, this is a 1-semester game. As long as I've been here, in the last 2 years, I haven't seen a 1-semester game that went from start to finish. I think we can do it because as of right now, we've got our core gameplay. We're trying to focus on polish. So, what does that mean? That means we want particle effects, visual effects, we want sound effects, we want narrative design, voice acting, and a cinematic feel. The idea is, gameplay is there, we want to bring in voice actors, we want to have friendly NPCs that are talking to you, that are dying, that are screaming. We want all kinds of 3D sound, we want to make you feel like you're there. Obviously, we put an emphasis on our particle effects, on our post-processing, on our lighting, those things. About some of those particle effects were from a particle pack. Some of them I made. So the blood on the bug, for instance, that was one that I did in about 6 hours. I just wanted to show that we can do this, and I can train other designers to figure out particle effects in Unreal. So what we need a minimum of 6 more people. 2 designers, 2 artists, 2 programmers. Potentially up to 6 artists. We'd like to replace every asset in our game. Unfortunately, 6 artists isn't always something you can get in production studio. 2 would be fine. Our current team is myself, Joshua Kazel, who's also from Monster Vault Entertainment, and Christopher Kuhn, one of the best programmers I have ever met. So why us? Why would you greenlight us? We've got really experienced leadership. You guys know we did 5 semesters in production studio. I love this program, and I want to give back. So does Josh Kazel. So does Christopher Kuhn. We've worked on a bunch of projects. Josh and I have done 5, 6 VR projects together. Chris and I have worked on a couple together, along with other members or other people on this team or in this room, including on game jams and on things that we're working on privately. We want to bring maturity and professionalism to the studio. We want to make sure that we can help the studio move forward, and we really want to bring back that kind of businessier, everybody works hard, but we're working to meet our deadlines experience in production studio. We want to focus on education. Chris is one of the best student educators I've ever met. Obviously, I focus on education too. Real quick. Again, VR, UE4, PSVR, we're going to give the best portfolio pieces anyone that works on our team will have in their portfolio, and we are focusing on polish, as I've said before. Thank you so much. I hope we're greenlit. I hope to partner with UAT Production Studios that we can make a really awesome game.
All right. Now, with that being said, you guys know that we have the Rainbow guys here. They actually wanted to give us a little bit of feedback on some of the stuff that they've seen. So we're going to give them 6 hours to give. No, I'm just kidding. If you guys want to give any feedback as quick, as short as you want, come on up. And yeah.
We are delighted to have you guys here. We've got 5 industry vets in the house. Give them a hand as we welcome them. During the break, we actually had a really great conversation about their experience, Gregory and Derek. And guys, you could do that, but you got to do that as well. And I invited them to give you some of that feedback here.
They look a little shocked.
While they're here. So, Gregory, come on up.
How's it going, guys? I'm a senior artist at Rainbow Studios. I've been working in the game industry for approximately 12 years now. At Rainbow, we do a lot of racing games, off-road games, and stuff like that. But the main thing I was noticing that I want to give some feedback on is your visual presentation really matters on when you're putting these slides together and your images and everything like that. Getting a really crisp, professional presentation. Because some of them, just from my experience, I'm just telling you first-hand experience, it looks like some of the things were typed up last minute. And when I hear I'm tired, that tells me that's probably what happened on some of them. So, I know you guys are rushing, everybody's working hard, you got a large team of people, and you're trying to put this stuff together into a quick presentation to get this done, but the presentation makes a big deal. Showing off, maybe you don't have the best artwork, but showing it off I'm not trying to be too blunt on this, but showing off like you really care about what you're trying to do, because sometimes it can come off as not being that way if you have text up there that's just kind of typed up there and some pictures kind of slapped up. One team even had to go and fix the slide right in the middle of the presentation. So really work on the graphical presentation when you guys are doing this, because it makes a big difference. We're all humans, we all see things visually, and when we're seeing things, it can really help with what you're trying to get across. That this is really going to be something that I'm working on. I'm trying to put an effort for us. So that's just some advice I have. Other than that, the one thing I really like about this whole Greenlight, and I was at the last one, I really like the energy that I'm seeing here. The positive energy, how everybody is really coming together and doing this, and we have all levels of people, and I want to tell everybody, keep doing this. Keep going to, participating in this. I see a lot of people coming that have already graduated. One thing, that this last team, they've been here forever doing the Greenlights. Keep doing this. This is how you keep your energy going when you're working with these people. A events or working on things like this keep you going in and finding a job. Because if you stop, then you get burnt out sometimes, and then you start giving up. Don't give up, okay? That's my biggest advice.
Awesome. Yeah, please be as blunt as you want.
My name is Derek Edwards, artist at Rainbow, also vehicles and characters. I'm not really prepared, I'm not gonna lie, but I did stick around and see everything you guys have to show. There's a lot of enthusiasm. That's the number one thing, kind of just to bump up what even Greg was talking about. You know, you could do like one semester and then it would just end, right, as I understand it, but like there's a lot of enthusiasm to keep going, and even after school, that's the biggest thing, because what the game would look like then and what it could look like much later, with the continued effort of everyone and the excitement on the team, which I think is one of the hardest things to keep going. It's, you know, at first everything's really exciting, and then, oh man, we're like 3 semesters in, but you still have a lot planned, so keep the enthusiasm. That work ethic also will be seen, which is super important, because you know, your reputation is also very important. And if you're the enthusiastic, hard-working one, you know, your skills will get there because you have the right attitude, and that's also very encouraging. I think that's about all I've got.
Okay, thank you, Derek. Thank you for taking me up on that impromptu invitation. I appreciate that. So, Derek Clark, what do we do back?
I don't know, what did you write in the agenda?
2:30.
So yeah, obviously, so as part of the process, we will now break out and do the judging. Judging takes place on multiple levels. One, what's the best mix for our studio? You know, we don't want to do just 5 shooters or something like that. But also know that we have resource constraints just like any other studio. So I now have the class list of what I'm going to have available for the summer. So I'll be going through that, and depending on how many people I have, and have artists or designers or programmers, that can also sometimes dictate what we greenlight. So if you don't get in, it's not always because it wasn't a good project. It could be we just don't have the right mix of people for the summer. But always we want to see you guys repitch. We always do this. If you don't get in, definitely come up and talk to us, and we'll tell you why. We're not going to like hide it. Like, sorry, we don't want to tell you why we didn't let you in. I haven't actually seen the numbers. I've got a spreadsheet sitting in my email right now, so I can't tell you exactly how many are going to get in. I would guess 6 or 7, which means I'm going to hit about a 60% success rate and a 40% hate me rate this time.
About 10 wanting to get in.
Yeah, so we got about 10 that pitched, and I would guess we're going to most likely get 6 or 7 in, but it'll all, like I said, a lot of it will depend on the resources we have and what we have available and things like that. And also which ones we like, which ones we hate, and things along those lines. So between now and then, get yourself something to eat, go out and play test. Teams, make sure that you have somebody setting up right away. We do have people that can give you amazingly great feedback, and we want to respect their time. So they're wandering around going, wow, nobody showed me anything. You've missed a huge opportunity. So make sure at least somebody on your team is there. Cycle people in and out to eat, that is fine. 2:30 back in here.
Right, I'll have the sign-in sheets at that time. So
Team
everybody come on
leads,
back.
if you still need anything with your team awards and stuff like that, ping Lynn. I know she has the template. I believe it's up in the files section of Canvas as well. So we'll also do the team awards right before we do the announcement of what got greenlit. And then we wrap up for the term. So, any questions?
All right, a couple more points. Before you go, dig out your calendar. Reserve the date, May 10th. That is the game job fair. So even if you don't get into the courses with the additional support that we have to offer, we still want to support those rogue developers. So that's where you can pick up some additional talent as you come on out and recruit additional members there as well. All right, so back here in 2:30, make sure your entire teams are here. We have team photos at that time, so comb your hair, do what you need to do. And yes, from now on, we've got some really great opportunity here to be able to take our representatives here, our industry vets, spend a little time with them. They've already asked about the VR, so we're going to start the NT lab. Sorry, guys. And they'll work their way around accordingly. And then make sure that you feed them as well. So, thank you guys again for being here. Another round of applause for everyone.